Girl, I was jamming. I was like, wait, come on, intro music. Hey.
It gets us ready, just loose and ready for the conversation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Presence. Today is a special one, and this is going to be a real conversation. So if y'all not ready, don't even bother with it. Okay, it's about to get real up in here. I have Miss Nikeya Young, who is a best-selling author, certified master life coach, TEDx speaker, keynote speaker, workshop facilitator, licensed minister, podcast host, and entertainer. She's also an experienced subject matter expert for various media outlets. You may have seen her as a recurring guest on WGN's Daytime Chicago and News Nation. Hello. Through her transformative coaching company and podcast, Victorious Living Solutions, Nikeya uses her gifts, her talents, her experience, and certifications to empower leaders to crush their goals despite life's challenges and live victoriously. She's happily married to Rodney Young Jr. and is a proud slay at home homeschooling mama bear to three beautiful children. She resides in the south suburbs of Chicago, Illinois, and I am very excited to have this conversation. How you doing today?
I am blessed and highly favored. How are you?
I'm doing well. Amen. Amen. I'm so happy that we're having this conversation because I saw you present at a Black Speakers Network event a few months back. And I was like, oh, I need her on my podcast. And so I reached out and thankfully you agreed. And here we are. I wanted to talk about this concept of Black girl magic. And I would love to hear your thoughts on that terminology and then a little background in terms of like when you first started recognizing, what the term means and how it evolved over time.
Awesome. So Black girl magic is a term that us, we came up with it to celebrate our accomplishments and our uniqueness as Black women, to celebrate our beauty, all of that. And so it was a great term. It was an endearing term. It was an empowering term. Black girl magic is how we shout each other out. But the concept of what it means to be magical can start to be used against us. And that's what I talked about in my talk. And that aspect of it is, if you're magical, some people would like to make it as if you are not human. You are this, I don't even know what to call it, like this being that can just go like the Energizer Bunny and be all things, do all things, be everywhere, nurture everybody, pour into everybody else, and not receive that same love and nurturing and respect in return. And that is where we have to, for lack of a better term, protect our magic. Protect our magic, set boundaries with others, set boundaries with ourselves. Because yes, we are phenomenal and we are resilient, but we are not about to be out here trying to be all things to all people and do all of the things and not get credited for all the things that we do and all of that foolishness. So
Yeah. Yeah, that you said a lot. There's a lot to unpack in what you said. But I guess I want to go all the way back to like why we even became quote unquote magical in the first place. What are your thoughts on that? Like how we even got to the point where we are showing up as these like extraordinary people?
I think the conversation that a lot of us are not ready to have is
Mm,
that our Black girl magic, as wonderful and fascinating as it is a trauma response.
mm,
It is a trauma response that became necessary because of slavery. Let's just put it out there and call a thing a thing. We had to deal with being separated from our families, being made work mules and having to slave and nurse other people's children and, be all the things, keep the house clean, be sexually assaulted by massa and all these things. And there's a ton of studies out there, so I won't get into it all, but trauma is actually passed down from generation to generation on a cellular level.
mm,
So a lot of things, and you'll say, well, what does that have to, slavery was a long time ago. What does that have to do with now? Well, all you have to do really is go back and talk to your grandparents and ask them if you are still alive, or if you're fortunate enough to have grandparents who are still alive, do not miss the opportunity to ask them all the questions you want to ask them before they get out of here. Ask them about their parents and how they were raised, and you will come up with some eye opening stuff. And basically, the closer you get back to people who were raised by people who were fresh out of slavery, you start to get a better understanding. And you don't have to go back that far. It may be a great great grandparent. You may not even
mhm,
have to go back to 3 or 4 or 5 greats, right? You start to their beliefs and how they handle things and how they instilled to just suck it up and get over it and not really, you don't get your feel like now we will tell you about our feelings in a minute. I'm not feeling that. Ouch, that hurts. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not with that. Our parents, they didn't have those luxuries, or if they did, they weren't taught that they did. There was a lot of just suck it up and get over it
mm,
because that was their reality. You have to suck it up and get over it. Okay, you feel sad about that. Guess what? No one cares. You're still going to be expected to do this, this, this. These requirements are still going to be respected of you. So, tough. Get over it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also like the notion of having to be twice as good.
Hmm.
I feel like that being drilled into us growing up has made us magical
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I talk about this quite a bit in terms of a lot of my clients and the women that I attract. We tend to put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect.
Yes.
Sometimes it keeps us stuck because we're not going to put the thing out unless it's perfect to our high standards.
Yep.
Right. And then when we put it out, it's wonderful. And now we're looked at as this magical being because we
But
do
how did
that.
you do that?
Right. But we do it so well that if we don't perform at that level and we do it like I am do halfway because I just don't have energy, it still comes
Mhm.
out way better
Yep.
than other people. And
Mhm.
so I think a lot of it comes from that need to be perfect because we've been, shunned and we've been silenced and we've been stifled and held back.
Yeah.
And we're looking for no excuses. Like you have no reason not to accept me because look at how excellent I
Mhm.
am.
Yeah. And this is the thing about excellence. There's nothing wrong with having personal standards for yourself. I do. I definitely do. But we have to be careful when we are on a subconscious level trying to, for lack of a better term, prove our worth. Like we don't have any more proving to do. Like you have to come at it from a perspective of this is me, take it or leave it. And if you choose to leave it, that's fine. I'll just go on to the people who are accepting of it. There's no begging. I'm not begging you to see me. I'm showing up to the
Mm,
table in all my Black girl magic and saying, hey, this is what I bring. You cool? No? Okay, great. I'm going over here. Hey,
Mhm.
this is what I bring. You good? No? Okay, I'm going over here. Hey, this is what I bring. We good? Okay, cool. We can vibe. And that's just it. If
I love it.
you can't accept me because I have crochet hair in and that's not professional, first of all, who is the determiner of what's professional and what's not?
See, that's a whole nother episode.
A whole other episode we don't have time to get into today. But who colonized what is professional?
Yeah,
Because if I'm showing up and I'm doing the work,
and I'm
mm,
being respectful,
yeah, mhm,
right?
yeah,
We're not being disrespectful, we're being
no,
respectful.
yeah,
So what if, we have our natural hair, we wear twists or weaves or whatever? What
yeah,
does that have to do with the product that we're putting out?
right, nothing, nothing at all.
0.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can't even go down that rabbit hole. That we,
yeah.
yeah, mhm,
Yeah. But I think, back to what you were saying, I love that because when we when we know who we are and we're
mhm,
confident in that, then we have the audacity to say, take it or leave it
yeah,
and be fine with them saying, I'm going to leave it.
mhm,
Right? I think that's also having
absolutely
an
fine.
abundance mindset
Yeah,
of knowing there's so much opportunity out here. I don't need you in particular. This sounds great, but surely there are other opportunities waiting for me.
absolutely. And if they're not, I'm magical enough to create my own opportunities.
Oops.
That part. And
Mm,
that's where, I mean, to be honest, that's where we need to be. I mean, DEI is great and fabulous and all that, but I'm at the point where I'm not waiting on because a DEI program should not have to exist. The fact that DEI programs even had to be created in 2024 is ridiculous. We got to come up with whole programs to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion that should already be there. And then y'all don't even want to do that.
right.
Bye. We finna go over here and build our own stuff.
I love it.
We finna go over here, Avengers Assemble. We finna go over here and we finna be some magical Negroes over here building like nobody's business and, and make them come to you and be like, oh, dang, they all left. They really just like, wow, they're not here
Yeah,
trying to prove why they should be here and why we should accept them. And they're not here, begging us or trying to
right.
overperform and like, okay, okay, do I get the promotion now? Do I get the promotion now? Like they really just picked up their seat and left the table.
Mhm.
Wait, who's gonna do all this work now? We gotta do all of this stuff ourselves. Because sometimes people really don't appreciate what you bring to the table until you get up and leave the table.
Ooh, say that. That's a t-shirt.
That I'm Dr.
Ooh-wee.
Young and I approve this message.
Yes, yes. You know what? That's a big thing for me because I agree with you in terms of, waiting for DEI. I think it's wonderful, but in the meantime, while they figure all of that out, what are
Right.
we doing for
Yeah.
ourselves to advocate for ourselves, to build our own opportunities, to really, market our own value and really create our own opportunities because we don't really necessarily need to be accepted and a part of these organizations. When you boil it all down, we all have the opportunity to create something new.
Mhm.
We're not all built for it though, right?
Mhm.
However, when you look at the stats, it says Black women are starting businesses at the
Mhm.
fastest rate.
Yeah.
So could we not hire each other?
We absolutely could and we must. We are the answer to our own prayers.
Love
We
that.
are. Nobody's coming to save us. Get in the field and make it happen and pull your fellow brothers and sisters up with you. That's what time it is.
Yes, I'm with
Be
you. I'm with
magical
you.
in that.
Yes, yes. So tell me a little bit, do you have any personal stories about how you had to come to the realization like I'm not gonna sing and dance for y'all no more. Like me personally, I'm not gonna subscribe to feeling the need to be magical. did something shift in your life? Did you have an experience that made you realize, like, whoa, like we're not doing that?
Yeah, I would definitely say there have been a few experiences, and being an educator, I would say, was one of those experiences. Being a public school teacher is, I want to say it's traumatic in a lot of it. There's a reason that so many educators are walking away from the field. And it's a lot. It's such a multi-layered onion that it can be hard to niche down, but it's a job that you can feel like you are being asked to make bricks without clay or water or any other surprise. Just make it happen. And because we're magical, we do make it happen because we join the job because we love children and we want to help our community and we want to do all the things. But we do it at a cost. And
Mm-hmm.
so it it was just really hard for me to not bring the job home every day.
Mm.
It got to a point where my alarm clock would ring for work and I would start crying. It got to a point, and it wasn't just emotionally and mentally taxing, it was financially taxing. You're not paid a whole lot of money. Teacher salaries have never just, stayed above or barely keeping up with inflation. Like, it's a lot. And people go, well, you only work 9 months out of the year and all of this other stuff. And there's all these other perks. But there's, a lot. Taxes come out of that. The cost of living is high as giraffe nuts, child. Is a lot. And then you have to give the schools in our communities typically don't have a lot of funding. It may not be enough books for every child. So now you got to make copies. You're only given, back when I was teaching, you were only given like reimbursed $100. So like if you spend on stuff that's not there, they'll reimburse you up to $100 for the entire school year. I really hope they raise that now, but I doubt it. For the entire school year, any teacher can tell you you'll spend at least $300 to $500 just decorating your classroom and getting set up for the beginning of the school year alone. So teachers spend a lot of their own money, on stuff, supplies for the kids. So all of that whole experience, um, and I tried so hard. I'm like, I have a master's degree in special education. Don't nobody get no master's in something unless they're really serious about it. And I was just like, ooh, okay, I gotta protect my mental health. I'm leaving this school. I'm gonna go find another one. Go to the next school, same thing happened.
Mm.
Okay, I'm gonna try another school. This is gonna be the one. No. Uh, I'm so serious. And I know some other educators can relate. Eventually, I had to make the decision to walk away from the field, and I had to give myself permission to do that and not feel like a failure for not doing what I set out to do.
Mm.
It was really hard, but I had to accept that for me, this was not the best use of my talents, my gifts, and it was causing me more mental harm than good. So I had to walk away. And a lot of the things I saw and experienced and felt on a cellular level absolutely have a lot to do with why I'm a homeschool mom today.
Mm.
I don't even want for my kids what I saw. And that was 10 years ago. It's so much worse now than it was
Worse.
10 years ago. It's so much worse. And we can fight and we can rally for education reform. But in the meantime, in between time, while y'all try to reform all of that, y'all not gonna screw up my kids.
Mm.
I'm gonna teach them myself. So
Love
yeah,
it.
that was I know that was a long response, but yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, it just goes to show like all the things that we have to deal with,
Hmm.
right? And you being able to pick up and say, you know what, no more.
No.
No more. That's really what to me is all about. And that's what I want to inspire anyone that's hearing this message today to know that you also can pick up and do something different,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So this podcast is about personal branding. So let's get into a little bit of how you feel, the whole notion of Black Girl Magic or being able to be excellent and all that. How does that play into how we carry ourselves, and create a brand for ourselves online and in the real world?
Hmm. Um, well, your brand is just basically who you are and how you show up in the world. And so there's a lot more that goes into it, which I'm sure you can expound on. But that's it. You're not trying to fake or mimic anybody else's brand because that can happen a lot, on social media. It's like, dang, oh, my graphics, oh, her graphics look cool. Okay, maybe I need to change it to that. Okay, but is that you?
Right.
Or are you, that's her? It looks cool. It's getting a lot of likes and attention, but what is yours? Find your magic. You can be inspired by somebody else, but don't try to be someone else. Try to be the best you.
Right.
Um, and so, what's your magic? That's what, when I think about branding, that's what I think about. What's your magic? And so that's what I've strive to do every time. That's what I strive to do with my business, is find my magic and help other people find theirs, even though I'm not a branding coach or anything. But in my mental health coaching and Victorious Living Solutions company, what is your purpose? What is your destiny? What makes you you, and what's exciting about that? And let's pull that out and develop it. And it's gonna, when you develop it, it's gonna be inspiring. It's gonna be magical. It's going to draw other people to it because people want to be inspired. So
That's right. Yeah, and that is a lot of the personal branding work. So you dabble. If that's what you're doing, you're definitely dabbling in the personal branding work, right? Because for me,
yeah.
I when people say personal branding, to me, a lot of people go straight to, oh, content,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah. We'll get to the content, but there's some foundational pieces that we need to get clarity on
Yeah.
before we can show up with intention.
Yeah.
Right. And I think for me, personal branding is about, how you carry yourself, but with the intention to shape people's perspectives,
Mhm.
change or inspire their hearts and minds for some purpose on the back end. So
Mhm.
whether that's, I want to promote my book, or I want to be able to change, the change education,
Mhm.
right? Whatever your end goal is, you can leverage your personal brand to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, a lot of what we're talking about relates, because when you're trying to be magical and you have to make sure that you always show up magical, it's like it's exhausting,
Yeah.
because sometimes, baby, you just
The
schmeckling. You
magic
don't want to
ain't
be
there.
magical today.
It ain't there. The magic is not magic in today. It's just
Right. Right. And so, like, why? And it goes back to, why are we striving for this? Right.
Mhm.
I posted a post last week about, degrees and how we go after all of these degrees. And it's like, yeah, that's wonderful. Congratulations. But like, what's driving that?
Mhm.
Right? Because we are the most educated, yet we're the most underpaid. So how is that working out? Because you would think you get the degrees to get paid, but somehow it ain't working for us. What are your thoughts on that?
So, and I just finished my doctorate degree. So
Whoop.
yeah,
Yes,
whoop, whoop.
yes, yes. And notice I put the doctor on all the flyers.
Thank you. Thank you for that. But for me, I changed why I do what I do. So
Mm,
I am a person. Anybody who knows me knows I'm obsessed with learning. My big sister calls me a professional student,
mm-hmm,
and that is very accurate. I'm just fascinated with growing. I just feel
mm,
like if I'm not growing, I'm being stagnant. And so it's something that I would do every year. I'm always setting professional development goals for myself. I have all kinds of certs and stuff, everything I don't even always post because people are like, dang, she getting certified in something else. Like, but I just like it. And I think that's where you have to go with it if you're going to do it. It has to be for your own personal reasons,
yeah,
not for monetary gain, because, like you said, the monetary gain may or may not even happen. And, or it may happen slowly. And so for me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get this doctorate degree. And all of a sudden, Ooh, now if woo happened, praise God. You woo, woo, woo. I'll be very happy. But if not, I would not see it as wasted money and time getting this degree and I didn't no, like I grew, I learned a lot about myself. I had fun doing my dissertation research. What's the next project?
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, just
Love
do it
that.
for the right reasons.
Yeah,
And
I
not
definitely do.
seeking validation from anybody else or trying to prove self-worth. Like if that's what you want to do it. But don't feel like, oh dang, that person got a doctorate and I only have this and I'm not enough. Now I gotta run back.
Mm,
Like we're not doing that.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, love that. Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to talk about another aspect of Black Girl Magic where we're able to do all the things, right? So you got a lot going on, right? You
Yeah.
write, you have a whole business, you've done TEDx, you speak,
Mhm.
you're a minister, you got a podcast, and then entertainer, which I want to dig into what that's about a little bit
Okay.
as well. But
Mhm.
then you have 3 whole kids, a whole husband, like so I talk to me a little bit about the whole notion of, Black Girl Magic and being able to do all the things and
Mhm.
make it look easy and seamless.
Yeah.
You're juggling all these things and you're doing all these things. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming you're doing all these things well. But like, talk to us a little bit about that in terms of just having the balance and staying true to who you are throughout
Okay.
that process.
Awesome. So first things first, I'm doing a lot of things, but everything that you see on people's bios and resume, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's all happening simultaneously. Now, a lot of times it may mean exactly that, but most people, they do this for a while and then they stop, and then they do this for a while and they stop. So just because I'm just, helping some people out, just because you see it all listed doesn't mean that we are constantly juggling 35 balls in the air at the same time. I know I'm the entertainment part of my bio that started, I want to say around 2008. From 2008 to about 2014-ish, I was very heavy into. Sorry, y'all gonna hear my kids in the background. My husband is up there wrangling them, but
It's fine.
the toddlers is toddlering, honey. They gonna holler. But yeah, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so 2008 to 2014ish, I was very heavily into plus size modeling, plus size
Oh,
pageants, voiceover, commercials, acting. I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA, all of those things. Y'all probably saw me on the Steve Harvey show several times, modeling and stuff. And it's like, is that her? But yeah, I have a lot of cool stories to tell my kids, put it like that, and runway pictures and fun stuff.
nice.
So I think that's a fun aspect of myself to share with others, even though I'm not as focused on it now. Sorry.
You you want to go check and see what's going on?
No, I'm gonna leave him. I'm gonna let him.
Okay.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch. Um, so yeah, it's a fun aspect of myself to share with others, but I'm not as heavy into that now because I got all of that going on. But
Right.
I still keep my SAG after card current because if they call, I'm gonna go make that money.
Right. Right. Right.
But I'm not like doing auditions and runway shows and
Okay.
all that to the same extent. That's just that. But
Huh.
yeah. Mhm. And singing, I did gospel music. I had put an album out in 2013, rapping, singing, background
Wow.
songwriting. There's a whole creative side to me that definitely empowers the things that I do now and is the reason why I can speak confidently in front of any audience because of skills that I picked up as a performer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not doing that so much now. That doesn't mean I never will.
Right. 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 Right.
Playing on the steps of the Capitol in Springfield on Saturday. That was unexpected. I was like, oh, okay, this opportunity presented itself. I'm gonna go down there and give them a little hallelujah 1-2 and come on back and do what I gotta do. So it pops out every now and again. But I do it now just as a way to kind of keep those creative fires stoked. But yeah, it's just the balance is what is working for me in this season. And if something is
Mm,
not working, I give myself permission to put it down. I don't go, oh, well, it's on my bio, so I got to keep doing it. If it's not working, it's just not working. But
love that.
I'll get back to it one of these days.
Yes, I love that. It's just about honoring where you're at,
Yeah.
you know, in life
Hmm.
and with no apologies. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, I don't do that no more. You could just take that out the bio for now. We'll put it back whenever. Right.
Mhm.
And it's just again having that confidence to know and be secure in who you are. I think that's the root
Yeah.
of being able to move like that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I
Hmm.
love it. Love it. I didn't know. Now I know. I gotta go Google you, child. I gotta Google, figure out, let's see some of these performances.
It was a fun time. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
So, and I'm
But you
still
know,
agree. It's still time to get back to it. I know people who didn't launch their acting careers until they were like 50 years old, and then they went on to do phenomenal things. So
mhm.
don't count me out because I'm in my 40s, child. I might pop out and just end up on your TV screen. I did that. I
Hey.
did nothing for years and years, and all of a sudden, my agent was like, "Chicago Fire wants to know, are you available?" Yes, I am. And then I was on like 3 episodes in 1 year. And people was like, "What? You act?" I told y'all I keep it current.
I love that. And you know what? I also feel like that's a part of Black Girl Magic,
Hmm.
right? Kind of being adaptable and
Yeah.
being kind of always ready, if that makes
Hmm.
sense, right?
Stay
Because when
ready so
you
you don't have to get ready. Hmm.
facts. And so, like, that is a huge part of why we excel because we're always ready. We're always,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. It may also be a trauma response, right? Because I feel
It
like
is, but
part
it's
of that,
part of our gumbo soup that we make it work.
yeah, I feel like part of that is being in survival mode,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
It stems from always having to feel the need to survive and like, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do all the things,
Yeah.
you know. But I love that it's not taking over. Right? You're adaptable, but at the same time, you're gonna honor where you're at. So if
Yeah.
it's not the right time, you're not gonna jump to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a nice balance there. I
Mhm.
love that. So well rounded.
That was the Lord. Let me tell you, because
Mhm.
when I was in that season, it was all consuming. It was like I had to do some soul searching and be like, okay, this is something I'm good at, but it's not
Mhm.
my identity.
Right.
And I'll tell you when I
Mm.
had to do that. I had to do that when I had my son. I had my first child in 2016. So
Mhm.
I told you I started doing all of this entertainment stuff back in 2008. And I had my heyday of like a long time to do whatever I wanted to do, nearly a decade. And now all of a sudden, I got this baby,
Mm.
and my body has changed, my
Mm.
hormoning, and life looks completely different. And I had to adjust to that, and just kind of remind myself of who I am outside of the things that I do, the things that I'm good at, whatever titles or whatever. Just get back to Nikeya. And during that time, I was watching all of my industry friends continue to go on and do all of this stuff, and I'm like, dang. It's like you
Yeah.
used to be out there with them, just going after it, and now you on the sidelines, like,
Mm.
I want to be where the people are. I ain't got no babysitter. It's an adjustment, like, but that was a good time for me because it was just like whether I'm doing it or not, it doesn't change my worth. It doesn't change any of that, and it'll be there. I'm gonna focus on being a good mom right now.
Right. I love that. I love what you said. You said you were good at it, but it was not your identity.
Yes, because we can get too caught up in the stuff and believe in our own hype and just. And then if something happens in life where you can't do the thing, the stuff, all the stuff that's on your bio is just like, who am I now? You have to never lose touch or lose sight of who you are outside of the things. Like, what is God's purpose for you outside of all of that?
This is definitely hitting home for me because I'm actually going live this week on LinkedIn to talk about why I had to stop and ask myself, who are you, Mel?
Yeah.
Because I had got so, and this is, I guess, a sneak peek. I had got so wrapped up in who I was professionally,
Mhm.
right? I had branded myself so well. My entire identity was wrapped up in being a resume expert. When
Mhm.
I tell you I didn't buy clothes outside of the clothes I needed to wear to go live or to go to a business event, I didn't know how to dress no more outside of
Mhm.
professional, right?
Yeah.
Everything, everywhere
Mhm.
I went, everything I did was so for the purpose of business. And when I decided I didn't want to do it no more, took me four years to get out because I was so deep. I didn't know who I was outside of
Mhm.
that. I didn't have no hobbies outside of that, right?
Mhm.
Motherhood was hard for me because I'm like, I don't want to be in the house all day raising kids. I have resumes to write. So it was hard for me to embrace motherhood. Well, the second time around.
Mhm.
And it was just a lot that I just recognized that I didn't know what to do. If I wasn't doing resumes, what else?
Yeah.
So it took me, it was hard
Mhm.
to rip myself away from
Yeah.
the identity I had created for myself as like a resume expert. It's
Mhm.
crazy.
But
It's
then
crazy.
once you got out of it and got into the thing that you really
Oh,
wanted
child.
to do, how refreshing was it?
Woo.
Once you
So I
finally get let go, like, "I shoulda did this a long time ago."
feel so free,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? Because the first time I felt it, I had just had my babies and I just felt stuck because what else? Right. So I didn't see anything else for me to do. I had a lot of skills, but
Mhm.
like I couldn't connect with anything else.
Yeah.
So it took me that long to finally be like, oh, well, now when I hear the word resume, I kind of cringe. I'd be like, oh, I'm not interested.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I definitely can resonate with that whole like you could be good at something,
Mhm.
but I knew in my heart it wasn't fulfilling. Like I don't even really believe in climbing the corporate ladder. But
Mhm.
here I am, right? Selling that
Yeah.
in my business. It was always like a little bit of a disconnect, but I was so good at it.
Mhm.
I wrapped my whole identity in there and whew, I had to dig myself out.
Mhm. Now let me say something about that because
Yeah, yeah.
that I consider myself a Generation X person. I was born in 1981. I was born at the very beginning
Right.
of 1981 in January.
Mhm.
So they say, and they keep moving the goalposts, but they say that the millennials start from 81 to 90 some, whatever it's called. And then
Mhm.
Generation X ends at 1980 and whatever. I don't care what they say. I'm a Gen Xer.
Okay.
So the millennial generation, us Gen X cuspers and Gen Z, we are really good at something that the generations before us were not as good at. And that is if something is not working for us anymore, we just don't do it. And so the people who are our supervisors that are from those old school generations, they don't know what to do with us because we setting boundaries and we like no, and you're not gonna talk to me crazy. And first of all, bye, because I just go work somewhere else. Whereas our parents and their parents, they stayed at jobs for years. They stayed there until they retired. Like all this switching jobs and this doesn't work for me anymore. They're like, what is that? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stay here. It doesn't matter if I don't like it. It doesn't matter if it's not good for
Right.
my mental health. So I feel like there's a lot we can learn from them, but there's a lot that they're learning from us in terms of taking care of our mental health. So that I thought about that in terms of what you said, because you're like, it took me a while to be like, it's not working, but can I do something else?
Mhm.
And the answer to that question is yes.
Yes.
Yes. So if anybody is kind of, because depending on how you were raised, you might have been told or subconsciously taught that it's bad to switch if something is not working for you. You
Yeah,
know,
especially career-wise because you don't wanna be seen as a job hopper.
yeah,
So you wanna make sure you're at a job for, like, at least a year or 2 years just to keep your resume,
Mhm.
all that. There's a lot of nuances that go with that. But I
Yeah,
feel like at the end of the day, you got to be happy, baby.
you do because we spend too much time at work. We
Yeah.
spend a lot of time, so you may as well love it because
Right.
why would you spend the bulk of your time 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and some of us putting in overtime and stuff? You spending that much time at something that you don't like, it's going to impact how you show up in the world. And everybody in your life is gonna feel it because
Yep.
I don't know how it works in y'all household, but when mama ain't happy, the whole house is like, okay, what can
Yep.
we do to get mommy happy again? Because this lady, this is not it.
It
Let's
is so true. It
child.
is so
My
true.
husband would string some coins together and be like, why don't you go take a weekend?
I
Your journal and your books and come back centered and ready to go.
love that. I love that. You know what's funny? During that time, I was trying to like figure out my life. I was kind of like depressed, right? I was in a state of depression because usually I'm on it. I know what I'm doing. I got goals. We here. And for me to just to not know, I felt so lost. And so my whole energy was just,
Yeah.
and when I finally got my groove back, I feel like everything else started falling into place in the house, if
Hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So what I learned was that my energy dictates the energy of the house.
It does. As women, we're the nurturers. So there's a biblical scripture in that, and I'm supposed to know the address to this minister, but I can tell you the scripture. Be like, let me Google where it's found. Yep, it's right there. But it's a scripture that says it's better to be on a rooftop than being in the house with a brawling, angry woman. Basically,
Mm,
an unhappy woman. However you want to put that, it's better to just live on the rooftop of the house.
wow.
We are the tone setters for our
Yeah.
household, so we have to take good care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I didn't
Mhm.
recognize that. Like I had that much influence.
Mhm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway. Well, look, this was a great conversation. I appreciate you so much for being here. If there's anything you want to leave the people with.
Oh, you cut out. I can't hear you. Your voice just cut out.
Sorry.
There we go.
My chin hit the I can mute by touching the mic. I
Ah.
touched the mic and I oh my but I was just saying, if you have anything to say about the notion of, black girl magic and, personal branding and how you show up and balancing all the things we talked about, if there's anything else you want to add that you want to leave the people with, what do you want to say?
Okay, I want to say, dear Black woman,
Mm,
you are magical. You are beautiful. You are resilient. You are all the things that Black magic brings, but you are also human. Give yourself permission to walk away from things that no longer serve you. Give yourself permission to rest. Give yourself bandwidth. Give yourself space to rejuvenate. If you're constantly pouring out but not receiving back, that is a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for stress, hypertension, depression, all things bad. So you give a lot, but how are you receiving? And if people aren't pouring into you, don't wait for others to pour into you. Figure out ways that you can pour into yourself. Miss Superwoman who wants to save the day. Put your cape on and save yourself. Put your
mm,
own oxygen mask on before serving everybody else. So that's my final thoughts on all that we've talked about.
beautiful. I
Thank
love it.
you.
I love it. Thank you so much. And how
Oh,
how do you want the people to reach you if they wanted to get into your space or have a conversation with you or just connect with you?
sure, you can connect with me on my website, victoriousliving.solutions.com. I'm on Instagram at Coach Nikeya. Laughing. They never make this much noise unless mommy's recording something. Let's bang the cymbals together. Anyway, Coach Nikeya is my Instagram handle, or I have two Instagram pages. I also have a Victorious Living Solutions Instagram handle. I love chatting on LinkedIn as well. And I'm on TikTok, but I am an auntie that's trying to figure out what these young people are doing on TikTok. So I'm on there for kicks and laughs, and every now and again I post something serious. But those are my handles and how you can stay connected with me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And we are going to talk again soon.
Absolutely.
If anyone listening is interested in building their personal brand, check out the Empowered Presence program or the Empowered Presence course. It is designed for brilliant women of color to learn how to build their visibility, authority, and thought leadership without sacrificing authenticity. So check that out if you want to learn more. Nikeya, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming. And happy self-marketing, everyone.